Oh my gosh, you guys, I am so tired. I literally just woke up from a nap and I'm going to jump straight into this video because I've been postponing doing this video. Anyways, okay. Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. It's Alice here and I'm back with another video. So in the spirit of World AIDS Day, which was on the 1st of December, I decided that I want to do a video on HIV. So I actually did record this video, I think about a week or two ago. Yeah, I think it was, a week or two ago. I did record this video and it came out well, just that. I recorded it way too late in the afternoon and then the lighting changed and it was just a mess. So I had to re-record. So today I'm recording the video a bit earlier on and I really hope that it's gonna come out right. But that inverter is making a hell of a lot of noise, so let me switch it off. Okay guys, so another reason why I wanted to do this video and release it now is because I just want to get the serious things out of the way. I mean, it's December, everybody's trying to relax and have fun, but before I focus on that kind of content and vlogs, I just wanted to close off my 2022 year with this important educational video. So yeah, today we're talking about HIV and I hope you guys are going to enjoy this video and learn a lot from it because this is such an important topic that we should be talking about more. So yeah, if you do enjoy this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel and click on the notification bell, and most importantly, you guys, please do share this video with other people because I do think that it will benefit a lot of people. I mean, if the HIV and AIDS was not such a big thing, I don't think that so many people would be getting infected on a daily basis and on a yearly basis. If people knew enough about HIV or they understood it properly, we wouldn't still have so many people being infected and also living with a lot of stigma. So it's a conversation that needs to be had. And yeah, so without any wasting time, let us get right into this video. Okay, so like the first question that I want to answer is, why am I doing this video on HIV? To be honest, guys, HIV affects all of us. It affects all of us and it affects people around us. So even if we are not infected with HIV, it might personally be affecting us because someone close to us or someone that we love is infected. So, and because a lot of people do get infected with HIV, even people that we love and people that are close to us, even though some of us may not end up being infected with the virus, we need to be well informed about it because the way that we speak about it and the way that we speak about those people who are infected with it, it might affect other people. So that's why we need to be well informed about it, so that we can change our viewpoint towards it and towards people who actually are infected with the HIV virus. And our viewpoint on it will affect the kind of stigma that is associated with HIV. So yeah, I personally do know a few people who have been infected with the virus, who are close to me. Booba, what do you want?
I appeared on the video.
You did, yeah, you did.
I'm sorry.
Go away, Booba, go away. Guys, my husband, like, you can see okay, but anyway, let's not get into it. Yeah, so as I was saying, I do know some people who have been affected by the virus, and some actually were too afraid to speak up about it, that they never sought help, and it unfortunately ended up taking their life. So that's very, very sad. And in my line of work, I've met a lot of people who were in denial about being infected for a very long time. And most of the time when people are in denial, they stop taking their medication. And now the more you don't drink your medication, if you are HIV positive, the more sick you become. So you watch your life changing right in front of you. But because the stigma is too much, and you can't even believe that you have the virus, because of all of the stigma that's associated with it, it becomes very difficult for people to actually accept the diagnosis and take their meds and continue living their lives positively. So it's something that makes me very, very sad when I see people becoming infected, because a lot of people really struggle with the diagnosis, and not everyone is able to get to that point where they can actually just accept it and move on with life. So I felt that it's very important for me to talk about this in my line of work, because of this platform that I've created for myself, where I'm talking about educational topics and teaching and empowering people. I thought that it's only fair for me to talk about this. And even if I can just help a small number of people, that will mean a lot to me. So that's why I'm doing this video. So I have my phone over here, and I have some questions that I wrote, and I decided that I want to answer in this video. So let us answer the first question. First question is, what is HIV and AIDS? Okay, so HIV, the acronym HIV means human immunodeficiency virus. And in simple terms, all that means is that you have a virus that causes you to be immunodeficient. Basically, it's a virus that compromises your immune system. Our immune systems are built in such a way that they can fight off infections and protect the body from infections, or protect the body from becoming too sick. But now when your immune system is compromised, you might actually fall sick, like very sick, over a small infection that maybe someone who doesn't have HIV can also have, but they can recover from it because they have a strong immune system that can fight off that infection better. And then if you are HIV positive, because your immune system is weakened because of the virus, you might actually be more sick than someone who doesn't have HIV with the same infection, and you might actually not make it over a very small infection, but because your immune system is really struggling, it might take you down quite a lot. So HIV, it's an infection. You get diagnosed with it. It's the earliest form of the infection, or it's the earliest stage in the progression of the disease or the infection, if that's making sense. Okay, you have HIV if you've just been diagnosed, and your immune system might be compromised a bit, but not too much. You still have like enough immune system cells, which we call the CD4 cells, in order to fight off infections. So that is the HIV infection stage. And at this point, you might still be okay. You might still look like yourself. You haven't lost any weight. You probably at this point haven't started having any opportunistic infections, which are infections that come when you are immunocompromised. So you might still be feeling like yourself at this point, and you might just find out that you are HIV positive because you had to go to the clinic for something else. It could even be something as simple as going for your family planning injections, and then you do an HIV test and you find out that you are positive. Or you might be pregnant and you go to the clinic or to your doctor or to your midwife for an antenatal booking visit, that first visit, and you might realize that you have HIV at that visit, but you still feel like yourself, you haven't started getting sick. Or you might be feeling feverish, fluish, and it's just like a bad flu that's sort of like not going away. Or you might be starting to have like a rush in your body and it's just not going away, and then you go to the clinic, whatever, you decide to get tested, and then you realize that you have HIV. Okay, so that's how it can start for like a lot of people. And then what is AIDS? So AIDS stands for Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome. So AIDS, it comes about after some time when you've been infected by the HIV virus now. Let's say you probably have not been taking your treatment because you've been in denial the whole time and you couldn't believe that you have HIV, or you just couldn't accept the diagnosis because of the stigma that's associated with the infection. And many years probably have passed now from the time that you were initially diagnosed. And now the virus has multiplied itself so much in your body and has become so much that it has overpowered your whole immune system, and your CD4 cells, which are the cells that are responsible for killing infections, like all these dangerous things and diseases that the body can get. Those immune system cells, your CD4 cells at this point, are very low. I think at some point you got an AIDS diagnosis if your CD4 cells were below 200. Let me actually check what's the current guideline when it comes to that now. Okay, yeah, it does still mention that people with AIDS might have a CD4 count below 200 and they are at high risk of developing serious illnesses. So yeah, so now you have AIDS, your CD4 count might be below 200 and you might now start getting like really, really sick with a lot of illnesses and infections at this point. So, and the reason why I wanted to just talk about the two and emphasize their differences is because I've heard a lot of people actually say the statement, I didn't want people to know that I have AIDS. Okay, and it's not everyone who has AIDS, and not everyone who becomes infected with the HIV virus will go on to have AIDS, because you might still have the HIV infection, but if you start taking your treatment very early on, your CD4 count, the soldiers in your body that are fighting off infections, might stay very, very high, like above 500, 1,000. They might be very high, and your body might be very capable of fighting off infections, and you can live a very good and happy and healthy life for a long time. Okay, so just because you're infected with HIV doesn't mean that you have AIDS. The people who actually do have AIDS are those that become very sick with HIV. The infection progresses up until the body's CD4 cells are depleted and they start getting life-threatening illnesses and infections. Okay, so people shouldn't say that they have AIDS unless you are really, really sick and you're sure of your CD4 cells, you don't have AIDS, you just have an HIV infection. Because I think it makes the whole thing so much more scarier when people say that they have AIDS, because AIDS is like life-threatening. It's such a scary thing, and it's like almost at the end of life type of thing. It's when you are really, really sick. So a lot of people who do get infected with HIV, they don't need to go on to have AIDS. And if they take care of themselves and they take their treatment and they perform measures and things that will prevent them from getting more HIV infections. For example, if you got HIV from a certain partner that you have, and you continue to have unprotected sexual intercourse with that person, you are going to get more HIV viruses. Okay, that increases the chance of the body being overwhelmed by the viruses. And even if you do take your treatment, it might not work, because as much as the treatment is trying to kill the viruses that are already existing in your body, you're getting more and more viruses from the next person. So taking treatment and having protected sex, or not even having sex with someone who is infected, those are the things that will help the amount of the virus to go down and to keep you healthy. But if you are doing one and you're not doing the other, it won't help. So you need to do both in order to help your body to fight the HIV virus, so that your body doesn't get so overwhelmed with the virus and you might go on to develop AIDS, and so that your treatment can also not fail and it can work. Okay, so yeah, that's what HIV and AIDS is, and that's what each diagnosis means for each person. So the next question that I want to answer is, how is HIV acquired? So HIV is acquired if there is any mixing of bodily fluids. And now with these bodily fluids, we are talking about vaginal discharge, we are talking about semen, we are talking about blood, we are talking about breast milk. Those are the bodily fluids that have a high concentration of the HIV viruses. Things like your saliva and urine, they might have a certain amount of the virus, but it's not as much. But the bodily fluids that have a lot of the viruses, it's your blood, semen, vaginal discharges, and breast milk. Hence, HIV is transmitted mostly through sexual intercourse, through breastfeeding, through pregnancy, and through sharing of needles by drug users. Okay, so and for the HIV infection to get into someone's body, there needs to be a breach in the body's defenses against outside pathogens. Okay, so viruses, bacteria, fungi, those are pathogens. Those are things that can come into your body and they can cause disease or illness or sickness, right? So things like our skin, they protect us from any viruses or bacteria entering. But if you have a cut now in the skin and it opens up and there's blood exposed, that's an opening for viruses or bacteria to enter into your body, right? And it's the same with in your vagina as well. If you're having sexual intercourse, there might be micro tears that are formed because of that friction during sex. That might cause small tears, whereby the semen or the bodily fluids that come from the man might be able to enter that woman's bloodstream and cause HIV infection. It's the same way with the man as well. And then through pregnancy, usually mom and baby's blood do not mix, but if there's any traumatic event that happens, maybe some abdominal trauma, maybe the mother is maybe if they fall, if they get into an accident, if they are hit, or there are some certain medical procedures that cause the mixing of mom and baby's blood. Mom's blood, if it has HIV viruses, it might go into the baby's blood and cause infection of the baby. It can also happen a lot during labor because there's a high likelihood of trauma when a woman is giving birth. It's a traumatic event mechanically, and that can transmit, or the baby might have some cuts on the skin because of the trauma of going through the vagina, and that might cause infection as well. And then when it comes to using or sharing needles for drug users, if you prick yourself and your blood gets into that needle and you have HIV and you prick someone else with the same needle, they can get the HIV infection. So whenever there's a breach in the protective mechanisms of the skin and there's bodily fluid associated that has the viruses, it can be transmitted to the next person. Which is important even when we are thinking about what we can do to prevent HIV infection. We need to think about the principles of how the HIV virus is transmitted. Okay, so let's go on to the next question. Who can get HIV? So the simple answer is everyone can get HIV. So most of the ways where HIV is transmitted is through sexual activity, because not a lot of people do drugs. Okay, not a lot of people do drugs, and because of the treatment that we have nowadays to treat HIV, it's not a lot of moms who actually transmit HIV to their babies, because when you are pregnant, you will be constantly tested for HIV. And if you do become HIV positive while you are pregnant, you'll be started on treatment immediately. And that decreases the chances of the baby getting infected with HIV. And women are more easier to treat than men, because women, they do actually think a lot about their health. If a woman is sick, it's easier for her to go to the doctor compared to a man. So if we are attacking this thing of HIV from the woman's side, it's a bit easier compared to when we try to attack it from the man's side, because men generally do not like hospitals, they don't like clinics, they don't like going to consult for anything. Even if they're sick, they would rather just be at home and up until they feel better. So yeah, which leaves us with like the one mode of HIV transmission which is a lot more and causes a lot more infections, which is the sexual route. Okay, so a lot of HIV transmissions are through sexual activity, and almost everyone is having sex in the world. And now with that, there's the dilemma of a lot of people not actually wanting to use condoms. A lot of people don't like using condoms. They are apparently painful, they are uncomfortable, you can't feel anything. There's just so many issues with people using condoms. So a lot of people, they are against using condoms and they don't want to use condoms, especially men. So now that's an issue, because you know, as much as when it comes to preventing HIV, it's been taught everywhere that to protect yourself from STIs, including HIV, you need to condomize. A lot of people actually just don't condomize. That's the reality of things. So because of that, literally anyone can get HIV, especially if you're not using condoms and you are engaging in sexual activity with people that you don't trust or people that are not being faithful, then it is a problem. So, which is why, because you know, I feel like a lot of people judge others because they have HIV. A lot of people judge other people when they find out that they are HIV positive. And that's like one thing that I don't understand, because some of those people that are actually judging the ones that are HIV positive, even themselves, they could actually get HIV at any point. Because number one, they are not abstaining from sex. Number two, they might not be in the best of relationships where there's trust between them and their partner and there's no cheating. And number three, they're probably not even using condoms themselves. So there's also a high likelihood that at any point in time they could themselves be infected with HIV. Because another thing is that a lot of people are in relationships and cheating is like something that is okay. So is something that is tolerated. So you don't know how long it is before your partner brings you HIV from somewhere else. So, but now those people, they are judging the ones that get infected with HIV, and they're creating the stigma around HIV, forgetting that they can also get HIV at any time as well. Okay, so that's the thing. Literally anyone can get HIV, and I personally feel like no one should judge another person because they got infected with HIV, because number one, we don't know the circumstances around them becoming infected, and actually we can all get HIV as long as we are being sexually active. But there are certain measures now in place that we can make sure of to prevent us getting diagnosed with HIV, which are the things that I'm going to go on and talk about right now. So how can we prevent getting HIV? So with HIV, there's the acronym ABC, or the abbreviation. No, it's not an abbreviation, it's an acronym. So ABC, and all of the letters, they stand for something that can help towards preventing a person getting HIV. So A is for abstain. So guys, if you are not having sex at all, you are not at risk of getting HIV. Especially if you're not sharing needles with other people and you're not touching anyone else's blood, especially if you have cards, then you are safe from getting HIV. Then B, if you are sexually active, what can help to prevent you from getting HIV is to be faithful to your partner if you are sexually active. Okay, so a relationship is made up of two people, and both of those parties need to be faithful to each other for them to be safe from HIV. Because let's say I am in a relationship and I'm faithful to my partner, but if my partner is not faithful and he's having relationships with other people and sleeping around, then I can get HIV as much as I am faithful. If the other person is not faithful, then they can get HIV and they can transmit it to me, right? So that's why it's very important for two people who are in a relationship to both be faithful, because it won't help if one partner is faithful and the other partner is not. Which is why, guys, it's not a good idea to be sexually active with someone that you know is not faithful to you. It is not a good idea to stay in a relationship with someone that you know is cheating on you and you are being faithful to them. You might just get HIV. And in such situations, it's usually just a matter of time before you become infected. And it also doesn't help if you, the one person in the relationship, you keep going to get tested, and when you get there to the clinic, you tell the nurse that I always test, I know my status, I always test every 3 months. If you are in a sexual relationship and you don't test with your partner regularly, then you testing and knowing your status, all good and well, because it's going to help you to know when you are infected with HIV and you can start on treatment early, but it doesn't prevent you getting infected with HIV. And a lot of people are in relationships where they cannot ask their partner to test with them for HIV. And even those that do ask their partners, the partners outright refuse to get tested. So it really doesn't help, guys. This is a two-way street. And really, if we want to keep people from getting HIV, we need to work on couples. Instead of working on individuals, work on the couples, because it's not, a person doesn't get HIV from themselves, they get it from someone else. And if both people are not doing the things that need to be done in order to prevent HIV infection, then it's not going to help. Okay, so it's a good practice if you are in a relationship to test with your partner, especially if you're going to get into a sexual relationship. You need to get tested with your partner for HIV and other STIs. And it's also not enough to test once with your partner. Preferably, you need to test the first time and test again after 3 months, because with HIV there's a window period. There's a certain period of time which is called the window period, where the body might be transitioning from being non-HIV positive to HIV positive, and that whole process might take about 3 months or so. So that's why it's not enough to test once with a person and then you don't test again. So it's good, test and test again after 3 months, then you know for sure that you are both safe from HIV. Especially if you're not going to be using condoms. You need to be continually testing with your partner, and you need to know that you trust each other and you trust that you are faithful to each other and you are only with each other. So this thing of sleeping around, having casual sex, it puts you a lot at risk of acquiring HIV. It really needs you to be in a stable relationship with someone that you took time to get to know and someone that you trust. Which is why it really helps to start sexual relationships when we are married, because you've taken time to get to know each other and you've built trust and you've taken the measures to get tested with each other. And you are not only accountable to your partner to do the right thing, but you're also accountable to your partner's family to do the right thing. Okay, but if people are just having relationships and it's not in the setting of marriage, it's easy for people to feel like, okay, I'm not really bound to this one person, so I don't have to only be having sex with this one person, and they can have sex with other people. Which brings me to my next point. It's very important, guys, to look at how your partner thinks or what his view on HIV testing is. If you ask your partner to go with him to go test for HIV and he doesn't want to, what is the reason? Is it a valid reason? And is that reason more important than your life? Because there's absolutely someone who knows that they are doing the right things. There's absolutely no reason why they should have any aversion towards HIV testing. There's absolutely no reason why that person shouldn't want to go and test, because what are they afraid of? So that's a red flag. If your partner does not want to go and get tested for HIV with you, that is a red flag. If your partner wants you to stop using condoms, that is a red flag. Especially if they haven't shown you that they are committed to you. And one of the ways that a person can actually show that they are committed to being with you is to marry you. But if they're not willing to take that step, are you sure of your partner's intentions? And really, guys, since a lot of people don't want to use condoms, you should be testing with your partner. Even the act itself of continually going to test for HIV with your partner, or just like randomly testing together at the same time, it really helps to maintain that trust, and maintain the fact that in your relationship, it's supposed to be two people and there shouldn't be any external people or other parties that are added to this union of two people. So it helps. And it really doesn't help, guys, to go and test by yourself and allow your partner to go and test elsewhere by themselves, because anyone can just come and tell you that I'm fine, I'm HIV negative, I'm good, whereas they never even went to go and test. So you can't test alone and be like, okay, I know my status, I tested, I'm HIV negative, No, you need to test both of you, and you both need to know where you stand, and you both need to test at the same time, at the same place, so that you can see each other's results and you can be sure of the person that you are with. It's very important, guys. These are the things that lead people to getting infected with HIV and AIDS, and we really need to have an open and honest conversation about them, because you might have been in a relationship and you've been faithful and you were doing everything right, but if you're sticking with someone that wasn't faithful, you might just walk into getting HIV with your eyes open, right? You might be a well-meaning person who was in a relationship, and you were well-meaning, you had good intentions, but you might just get HIV because you trusted someone too much and you didn't take the precautions that needed to be taken. Okay, because it's not only people who are promiscuous or who are having casual sex, who are sleeping with everyone, who get HIV. It's also those well-meaning people who are faithful in relationships, whether you are married or unmarried. Even those that are married, if your partner is not faithful and you are staying with someone who's not faithful to you, then it's a problem. Sooner or later, you're going to get infected with HIV, and you're going to feel so betrayed by this person that you really trusted. So it's very, very important, guys. And sex is the most leading way where people can get infected with HIV. And if it's done by people who are not mature enough to make the right decisions, and it needs someone who has a sound mind, basically. And if you are still young and you're immature and you're not able to make those sound-minded decisions, then you might just find yourself in a huge problem. Yeah, so those are the ways that we can actually prevent HIV infection. So the C, I didn't talk about the C. The C is for condomize. So abstain from sexual activity, be faithful to your partner, and condomize, right? So those are the 3 ways that you can protect yourself from getting HIV. And even with condomizing, guys, if you are going to condomize, it needs to be something that is consistent. You can't decide that, okay, I'm going to condomize today, I'm going to use a condom, but tomorrow or next week, it's too painful, I can't do it, I can't. No, it has to be consistent, because if there's any mixing of your bodily fluids at any point, even if it was just one encounter, you don't know if that one encounter is enough. Because even with pregnancy, it can take just one encounter for you to fall pregnant and for you to get infected with HIV. So since a lot of people have issues with using condoms, it's painful, it's sore, it's this, it's that, there's no feeling. In your relationship, you sort of you're faced with a decision. Are you going to use condoms? Are you not going to use condoms? And if you do reach that decision that you're not going to use condoms, then you need to fully trust your partner. And you both need to be faithful to each other. So, yeah. That's all I'm going to say for this question. So, the last question that I want to answer is, why is there so much stigma around HIV? So what I did is I posted a question on my Instagram, and I asked people to tell me what they think about the reason why there is so much stigma around HIV. So I'm just going to read a few of the responses that I got. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to capture the whole answers. I don't know, they just got cut, because after that poll expired, all the responses got cut, but I had taken screenshots, so I just didn't get the full responses. But I'm just gonna read overall what people were saying. Okay, so these are the responses that I got. Okay, let's see. One person, okay, so I asked what is causing the stigma around HIV. So one person said that it's being judged. It creates an assumption that one is sleeping around. And yeah, I find that to be very true. People think that the only way you can get HIV is through being promiscuous and sleeping around. When we're really in this day and age, that's not the case. Even people who are well-meaning and faithful in their relationships, people who are even married, can get HIV because of the things that I already mentioned in this video. The other partner is not faithful, and they go around and sleep with someone else outside of the marriage, and they can bring HIV into the marriage, and a well-meaning person ends up being infected with HIV. So yeah, that's the issue. And because we also have different beliefs, and some other people do not believe in the Bible, and they do have sex before marriage, and some people are in long-term relationships, but they are not married, and they were faithful, and then they still get HIV. Or others, they actually do believe in the Bible, or they would like to get married, but they're in these relationships and it takes very long for them to actually get married, and they are engaging in sexual activity, and they get infected if the other partner is not faithful. So yeah, it's not always that you get HIV if you are sleeping around, because not everyone who gets HIV was sleeping around. Okay, so another person also said the stigma comes from people still associating HIV with one being promiscuous. So I think that's like something that we need to work on, because it really does cause a lot of stigma. Because I think people who do get infected with HIV, they think, oh, what is everyone going to say about me? People are going to think that I was sleeping around. And then that causes them to not want to associate the infection with themselves, because even mentally, they have that idea that people who get HIV, it's people who are sleeping around or people who are promiscuous. And then now that leads to them having a lot of shame and not taking the treatment, becoming so depressed, and just giving up on life generally. And it becomes very sad now, because if you die, so many people that you love, people that love you, are going to lose you because of that incorrect thought that you had about the HIV infection. Okay, and then someone else said people still think it's the early 2000s and there's no cure or treatment. And yeah, things have changed a lot, you guys. There's been so much progress with treating HIV. As much as there's still no cure to it, but there's a lot of good treatments that are available now, and that make people even less sick. Because I know back in the day, the pills that people who are HIV positive had to take were like so much, and it was like very, very difficult to take those pills, and a lot of people defaulted and didn't take the pills because of that, and also the burden of the side effects. But now the pills that are available in the market to treat HIV are so good at decreasing the virus in the body, and also the side effects are not so bad. A lot of people can actually take them, and now there's even like one pill a day that you just take every day. So yeah, there's definitely treatment for it. We've advanced so much now. And a lot can be done, and people who are HIV positive can actually live very long and happy lives. And then someone else said it's associated with promiscuous behavior as well. So yeah, that's very true, and we've already spoken about that. That's not the case. And then another person said people are still judgmental, and once people know, they don't want to associate with someone who has HIV anymore. Yeah, of which is very sad, you guys, because someone who has HIV, it's a normal person as well. They're just like anyone else who doesn't have the infection, and they also need love and care. And really, if you're well informed, you know that you can't just get HIV from touching or hugging or kissing someone who has HIV. Yeah, and they are normal humans that also need to be respected and loved. So this whole thing of not wanting to associate with people who have HIV, it's really just for people who are not well informed about HIV. And then, which leads me to the next point, because then someone else said, it's lack of real information about the virus and being easily swayed by others' opinion of it, which is so true and very sad, because other people who get infected with HIV, they're more worried about what other people will say, bazothini abantu. And that leads to them just being so depressed and so ashamed, and then they end up not taking their treatment. But I mean, if you are well informed about the virus and you know your truth of how you got the virus and you know you're a well-meaning person, then you shouldn't let other people's views and opinion affect how you are towards yourself. Okay? Because at the end of the day, guys, this is life. Not everyone makes perfect decisions, and people make mistakes, and you know, people at some point they're just naive and they believed and they were gullible and they were in bad relationships. It happens, you guys. It really happens, and we shouldn't be judging people from their past mistakes. Yeah, like, we're humans. We don't always make the right choices, and sometimes we don't even have enough guidance to make the right decisions. And some of us, once we learn the better way of doing things, then we do change our way of doing things. But unfortunately, some other decisions, the consequences are long lasting, that even if you do change your way of doing things, but you'll still have to stay with the consequence of that bad decision that you made when you were still young and naive, and you trusted this one person too much without looking at the facts of what they were doing. So it happens. We do need to be informed and stick to our truth and not worry too much about what other people say. Again, another one says, I believe it's a lack of enough continuous knowledge and education. And guys, at this point in time, there's a lot of education. There is a lot of education about everything that you can think of under the sun. You can go on YouTube and type HIV and you'll get a lot of different articles, documentaries, and even on Google where you can learn about HIV. And a lot of people have access to smartphones these days, so this is not an excuse. We need to equip ourselves, we need to empower ourselves, we need to learn, we need to find information. In this day and age, there's a world of information available about everything, especially about HIV. So there's literally no excuse, you guys. And there are campaigns that are done all the time on World AIDS Day, every year at clinics. There's just so much available. And really, at this point in time, guys, if you don't know anything, it's partly your fault because there's so much available. We just need to take responsibility for our learning and look and find the information that we need. Okay. So another person said, we only shared images of people with AIDS, which unfortunately were scary. So yeah, it goes back to what I said about HIV and the difference with it and AIDS. So AIDS, it really gives that picture of someone who's like lost a lot of weight, who's very, very sick, bedridden, probably cannot do much for themselves. And that's really not everyone who has HIV. Not everyone who has HIV will go on to develop AIDS. If you take your treatment, if you take care of yourself, and you have good sexual habits, you will be fine. So, and we have a lot of people now who are actually coming out with their HIV positive diagnosis. People like Sisnozi, Kamgana Mayaba, she's living positively with HIV and she's beautiful. It gives us a better mental image of people who are HIV positive. not everyone who has HIV will go on to have AIDS and be like very, very sick. If you're taking care of yourself, you will be completely fine. So yeah, it really pains me when I see people losing their life because of HIV. But we really need to change how we look at HIV. We really need to change how we look at it, and we need to educate ourselves. And how you speak about HIV might affect the next person who possibly is HIV positive but haven't told anyone about it. It does matter how you speak. If you speak in a judgmental tone about HIV and people who are HIV positive in front of someone who might be HIV positive, it could be a friend of yours, it could be a family member, it really will impact them. So we need to be mindful, guys, of how we are speaking about HIV around everyone, because you never know that who you are talking to might be HIV positive. Even if you're talking about someone else, how you speak about that someone else might affect how they feel, and might affect whether they will take their treatment or whether they're just going to be depressed or fall into a deep hole. So let's support our family members. Let's support everyone who has HIV. It's not our place to judge people, and the reality of the matter is that some people will knowingly make bad choices and sleep around and be promiscuous, but it's not our place to judge those people. They are fully in their rights to make their own decisions and make their own choices, and that's okay. It's what they choose. Let's mind our own business and just be compassionate towards people who are living with HIV and AIDS, and support them, so that we can really just stop the stigma that is around this infection, and we can have people who are happier and who are living more positively, and those who are still not yet infected, so that they can be able to protect themselves against this deadly virus. So my heart goes out to all of those people who have been affected or who are infected with this virus. I really hope you can get to a stage where you accept it and you still see yourself as a good person, a beautiful person that's worthy of happiness, and may you be able to move past the diagnosis of HIV in your life and continue living and enjoy your life with the people that you love. And to those that lost people because of HIV, my heart goes out to you. It's very, very painful, I know, and I really hope that anyone else can protect themselves. But if they really can't and they do become infected, I hope that they might be stronger and be able to live with it. And just as a last note, you can actually choose who you disclose your status to. If you have recently become infected with HIV and you're just going through a lot mentally and you're so overwhelmed, you don't have to disclose to anyone if you are not ready to. And you can literally just take your pills in private and in peace without anyone knowing about it, and you can disclose to the people that you really, really trust at the time when you are ready. So you don't have to feel pressured to disclose, especially to people that you think that they will judge you. Yeah, but just take care of yourself, and I hope that you can be okay. So yeah, guys, that's all I wanted to talk about today, and I really hope that this video has helped someone out there. I really hope that it will impact a lot of people and help them to make better choices and to be more informed about HIV, about how to protect themselves and how to take care of themselves if they do get infected with HIV. I love you guys so much, and thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click on the notification bell so that you don't miss out whenever I post a video. And please, if you know someone who might benefit from this video, please do share it. Thank you so much for watching once again, and I will see you guys at my next video. Bye.